Diane, thank you so much for sitting down with me and for being open to share your life's journey.
Thank you for asking me. Thank you for having me.
We just finished a photo shoot and you made me look like this. And you bring out my natural beauty. You do it to everyone that you work with. And it's such a gift and such a talent. I had the privilege to work with you when I was 13. I don't know if you remember that.
Of course
photo
I
shoot.
remember. I remember all of them.
And you
believe it
did
or
this
not.
beautiful smoky eye, nude
gosh.
lip. I should find them and include them
know.
in this video.
Dang.
And when I met you, you were so different than anyone else that I have ever worked with.
Different from today. Yeah.
No, in the industry. Being so young and
Mhm.
working in a space that's more adult and
Mhm.
just high pressure with photographers. And I was just really intimidated. And when I met you, I instantly felt comfortable,
Mhm.
safe, seen. And of course, really, you just brought out aspects of me, I believe, from within and through your makeup.
Oh my gosh, don't make me cry because may not be the fan. It might be me crying.
This is a place for it.
I'm in that like stage, like oh, yeah. Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
I totally remember our first shoot and so many of the shoots that we did together. I remember them so clearly. It's just like I can't even put it into words that I have known you for this long and watching just your evolution in your life and all the, starting out at 13 and then becoming an adult and then starting your own business and now another chapter.
And you've
with
been
what you're
such a huge
doing.
influence and mentor for me, not only from my teenage years, but 20s when I was modeling and talking to you about retiring and going into business. And even I was curious about doing makeup, and you've always given me guidance with small business and how to do it. And also the functional parts that are needed with employee manuals. I know it seems simple.
No, but that's so funny because I remember you like, you have an employee manual? We don't have an employee. I like,
Yeah.
you need to get one.
Yeah, and you were like,
yeah.
Stace, you need to get your employee manual so your employees understand.
Yeah.
So everything's wrapped up. And once we actually implemented that with Goody Two's Toffee Company, I was like, I see why Diane is saying this. It is empowering for your team. It's clear and concise for us as business
Everybody
owners.
knows what you expect.
Yeah. And so
it's repeatable. Once you have it, it's repeatable.
that's a
So,
very valid point.
yeah.
And did you have that when you opened your retail shop, the employee manual?
Mhm.
And have you kept?
I have it in like a file somewhere but I think it's really an important thing. Just being upfront with people, letting them know what you expect and what the parameters are, and just makes everything better.
Yeah.
Like the communicate, it's almost like a communication style. It's like a direct communication style. That here's what we have for you.
Yeah.
It just makes things better rather than because after having your own businesses, that there's some people that you can verbally tell them. Doesn't mean they're listening. Doesn't mean they're grasping what you're saying.
Yeah.
And so I was always like, how do we get around this? But I even remember you and me and Karen doing like masterminds together and stuff. It was so great.
Oh,
back in the day, because you had just started Goody Twos, and then I had started my little beauty boutique. And my gosh, that seems like such a long time ago.
And when I think of us from shooting to business and all our various chapters to where we're at right now, and we're in Paul's studio. We're so lucky that he allowed us the opportunity to film this conversation here, but that's where we were shooting. He's a dear, dear friend of ours and one of my incredible mentors as well.
Yeah, I feel so privileged, so fortunate just to know you for so long and get to do this with you. Even if it's not all the time, but it's once every couple of years.
And when we're together,
amazing.
It's as if no time has passed.
I know. I love that.
So so we were talking about this before recording, and I'm like, Diane, I've never even asked you what got you into makeup. What a nice friend I am, but I would love I really would like, when did it start? What brought you into
Um,
this? I know you're a massive creative artist. So,
well, I was a criminal justice major in high school. I mean, in college, not high school, college. I was a criminal justice major, and I just grew up enamored by like glamour. When I was a kid, everything was so glamorous on television, not in the way it is now, but like celebrities felt so glamorous to me.
mm,
And I loved watching old movies and all the this is so weird, but like when I was a little kid, like all these people had these variety shows and they would wear these Bob Mackie gowns, like Bob Mackie is
yeah.
like everybody was so sparkly and I was just so drawn to it. I was mesmerized by it. Always buying magazines, always buying books about photography and makeup with my babysitting money. I know. And then I think I was about 2 or 3 years into college, and I was a receptionist at a hair salon, and I went and got a facial by this lady, like, one of the ladies I worked with, she's like, "Oh, you have to go see my lady that does facials," and she offered me a job if I went to beauty school, and so I started going to beauty school, but she wanted me to work for her for 5 years, and I was probably, like, 19 or something, and I couldn't even handle a 3-year car payment. Like, I thought that was such a huge commitment at 19. So I was like, "No, I'm not gonna do that." Well, I continued working in different salons, and then one day a photographer came in and said, "Does anyone do makeup here?" And my manager said, "She does." And I was like, "Oh my god." Like, there was a full-time makeup artist at the salon. I was doing skincare and waxing, and I was assisting the hairstylist, and I couldn't believe she said my name, but she heard me talking about, "Oh, I would love to do that." So I did like 2 shoots with him and went, "This is what I want to do. I want to do this."
Wow.
So I just slowly started working on my portfolio, but it took me years. It took me, I mean, I was struggling for years before I met you, just meeting photographers and trying to get a portfolio together, not like it is now where you just reach out to people on Instagram and then you collaborate. And it was a different industry. People didn't like now everybody does collaborations and
Mhm.
that's how you build your book. Whereas when I was starting, it was the working photographers like Paul and like other that maybe you could convince them, "Oh, can we do something for our portfolios?" Otherwise, they were getting paid to work on jobs, and it was so it took me a long time, but they're turning back. I loved it.
How
I loved it.
long have you been doing hair and
Oh my
makeup?
god. Like all together, if I go back to the salon days, probably 35 years at
Wow.
least.
Wow,
Yeah.
Diane.
That's a long time.
It
Maybe
is.
slightly longer than that.
And you've traveled all around doing hair and makeup.
I've been so fortunate. I've had people, you know, take me along with them on like just some amazing jobs that I did. Bahamas, Costa Rica, Dominican Republic, Ireland,
Oh,
um,
Diane.
a lot of jobs in Mexico at like different resorts. I can't even remember. Oh, well, and then Paris and Milan Fashion Weeks. So yeah, I've been really fortunate.
What's
Very
your
fortunate.
favorite or a few favorite jobs that you've booked?
Mm, that's
I know
hard.
it's probably a
That's
big.
that's hard. Well, I have to say, going to Milan Fashion Week was a very eye-opening experience because you're so excited and oh, I'm getting to work on this amazing artist team. But it was really interesting how other artists act backstage. There's some people that they're not necessarily nice. I hate to say that, but they're just
It's the truth.
it's there's a little bit of a like get out of my way. I'm trying to get to that model and there's little cat fights sometimes with some people,
And
but
that is not your personality at all.
no.
It's
So
you're
I
the
was just like,
safe, calm, easy, nothing rattles you.
well, things rattle me. I do go to the dark side occasionally, but it was an eye-opening experience, but just to be in that arena and it's a bucket list item and just to just the creativity and just being around people backstage. It's just so that's always a favorite. I don't even know. I don't even know. Oh, I just did 2 editorials for French Elle.
Oh,
And that was so great because I feel like I did so much fashion early in my career, and then it's kind of now a lot more commercials and stuff like that. So to kind of go back to my roots and work with such an incredible magazine, that was just checking off another box that, like
Michelle.
lifetime
That's incredible.
oh my gosh, and everybody was so amazing. So
And where did you shoot that?
Gila Bend has like 2,500 people. We went there, and then where else do we go? Wickenburg, I think, at a
Wow.
dude ranch. It was awesome. So I'm waiting for the second one to come out
Okay, I would
in
love
just
to
a couple
see the
weeks.
editorial.
Yeah, it's gonna be so cool.
That's
But there's
amazing.
so many.
Yeah.
I can't choose. I mean, even celebrities, I've worked with incredible celebrities that were so nice to me. And sometimes you hear not great stories, but
Yeah.
I've been so fortunate. It's so fortunate. I feel like I've got this little like favor upon me that I've had so many incredible opportunities.
Well, I think it's a part of who you are too. It's what you've called in when you are so genuine and authentic. And I mean, that's what I was speaking to when I met you when I was 13 till now is your authenticity and the safety that I feel. Um, in an industry where there's a lot going on and a lot of different moving parts and
Yeah.
photographers and producers and the brands, and
Right.
for someone to be able to work with you and for all of those elements for you as well. But there's just an essence of ease when you come in. And so whether if things rattle you or not, it never feels,
Well,
and we've had a couple of shoots where um, I've had a different photographer that has a different type of energy, and I don't know if you remember, but I'm not going to say a name, but you let me know ahead of time. I think I was 19. You're like, Stace, just so you know, he's a little bit more direct how he communicates, and it's not you. And so giving me that ahead of time
yeah.
made me feel much more comfortable versus kind of in shell shock. And I think those are the simple things, because you're so in tune with everyone and you're really, really connected, that it allows, I believe, on top of your talent, that's what creates the magnetism.
It's really funny. I mean, it's a gentler industry now than when we were working together, for sure. I feel like because back in the day, there were a lot of photographers like that where you're just like, okay, like there were times I would get yelled at on set, like, do you even know how to do hair? I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna crawl under that chair, and then when I come out, I'll do the hair,
Yeah.
But it's kinder, gentler now. But
That's good to
I
hear.
think that I still want people to feel good.
Yeah.
People forget that the person in front of the camera is a person sometimes. It's like, I'll hear people say things like, can you move that foot? Like, why are you just saying, can you move your foot for me?
Yeah.
Can you move that foot? Like it's
And you'll
like you're a
often be
mannequin.
directing, in the back, and you'll give that little gentle guidance that just is like, yeah, we got
That's
this.
right.
We're okay. We can breathe.
Yeah.
We are human. But I think that's in all aspects of relationships with agencies that, represent you. I think that is something that I personally feel is what adds to why you're so
That's so
gifted
sweet.
and so special, and why you've
So sweet.
continued such incredible success and
I just, you know what?
35 years of
I
doing hair
try
and
to
makeup.
just show up well.
Yeah.
Sometimes I make mistakes and I'm not perfect, and sometimes there's some people you just don't like dive with. I don't know what word to use. There's just some people it just doesn't mesh, but you just want to show up well and
Yeah.
just be of service when you're there, be helpful. I guess from what you're saying, not everybody's like that. I just think everybody's like that.
Well, I
So,
love that
you
you
know,
think that everyone, I mean, and I think most people are, but
yeah.
I do think, well, just what you were saying, who you jive with. I think when we're attracted to certain people, whether it's energetically or just being in the comfort with someone, it's because we have a similar, maybe it's our communication style, maybe it's our authenticity, whatever that is. And maybe for others that are more direct or have different personality types, there are people that are attracted to that.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
but I do find that you're able to work with both.
I try.
which is, inspiring for me and helped me throughout all
Oh,
my years. Just
so
learning that,
so nice. Stacey, you're gonna make me cry. I'm trying not to cry.
with your career and opening your retail shop, I would love to hear a little bit more about that and how that felt for you. What did you like about it?
That was such a trip. I mean, I
Glam Lounge.
when I opened, like, I had the idea for 11 years. I had gone into this place in Washington, D.C., and I thought it was the coolest. And so I had this idea for a really long time. And then one day I had somebody presented me with an opportunity to do it. I was like, okay, let's go for this. And boy, that was like a crash course in business. That was like a master's in business, just trying to get the store open. We just had so many things go a little crazy, like off the rails with the location not being finished. And I had to open because the brands I was pursuing, if you don't nail it down, they will just go on to the next person. And a lot of them had, like, you have to be a certain mile radius away from another retail place that has that brand. Does that
Oh,
make sense? Am I saying that
absolutely. I
right?
didn't even think about
So
that.
I either was going to lose the most prominent brands that I had sealed the deal with if I didn't open. So we went to a temporary space. Um, not going to lie, my husband was not the happiest about that part. He's like, wait, what's happening? But we just started. We were catching on. I was very fortunate to be in a lot of news channels. Had a friend helping with PR, lots of news shows, lots of magazines. So we were gaining some, visibility. And then about a year in, well, that's basically when 2008, 2009 recession happened.
Yeah.
And then somebody put a boxing gym above us,
Oh, that's right.
and
I
our
forgot about
wall,
it.
like, here we are trying to do facials, and our walls, like the seams of our walls were split, like they were coming forward and splitting. So we had to move. So that was a little wrench. But because, to do a build out, I mean, you did a build out with your store. Build
Yeah.
outs are very expensive. So then we moved, and, we just were doing whatever we could to reach people and kind of show them a different kind of experience rather than going. That was the main thing. Like, I wanted to show people it's about you. It's not about a sales quota.
Yeah.
I wanted people to feel like they got personal treatment and that we cared about them, and that if you come back in 6 months, we're still going to remember you. And
Mhm.
people would comment on that.
Oh, yeah.
They
That's
would be like,
how it
"Oh my gosh,
was.
how do you even remember my name?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "'Cause you were in here a couple months ago." Like, "How did you even remember that I was in here a couple months ago?" I'm like, "It's just what we do." you know? So that was really, it was important to me that people have that experience, because I felt like retail was becoming quotas and just, "Here, sit down. Let me put this same palette on you, because our counter manager is telling us we have to sell 20 of these this week." And I just wanted it to be something different.
Yeah.
And then that's when I started my makeup team, my on location team. And then when we closed the store, then that we turned into just full on location team, and it grew like crazy.
So you
And
were able to have multiple makeup artists go on location, whether it was for
mhm,
weddings, photo
mhm.
shoots.
And I think we were the first team in this market. I don't think anyone
I
was
don't
doing
know.
that
Yeah.
yet. I think people started to do it, and now it's a huge thing. Now people, I mean, there's teams out there that have, like, they say they have like 50 artists.
Oh, wow.
I don't understand how you can have quality control with that.
Yeah.
Maybe they figured it out, because for me 12 was plenty. Like, the most I ever had was 12. And th- like, I wanted to maintain a quality control that whether it was me or artist, I'm just saying, artist number 2, artist number 5, you were going to have the same experience. You were going to feel taken care of. That was what was most important.
That was
So,
your intention and you were able to
mhm,
create it. How did
yeah.
you find a team that could be that where you could duplicate that?
I was really choosy about the people that I brought on. I was really choosy. And I figured out that sometimes, it sounds terrible, but sometimes if you're interviewing someone for a job and you just let them talk, people eventually reveal.
You're right.
They'll just reveal what, they'll reveal themselves. And so that's what I did. I would just sit down with people and let them talk. And if they felt like they were coming from a place of just not good intentions, like their heart wasn't just to show up and make people feel good and serve people, they weren't for me.
Yeah.
And I knew that. And if they were drama too, if they showed up and they seemed like there was a lot of drama, didn't want that either. So I just had like those parameters. Like you got to check this box and this box and this box, or I'm not.
Yeah,
So
you were so clear on your boundaries. And I remember that when I would ask you about the employee manual and how to empower your team, company culture, you
yeah.
were really such a huge resource for me because you've done it so well. And it is
Thanks.
hard when you're dealing with other
Yeah.
people and offering them that environment and at the same time learning how
Hmm.
to interview, just like what
Yeah.
you're saying.
Yeah. So I mean, over the years, I think I had the team for like 12 years. I don't do a lot of weddings. I mean, that was like when I would do weddings. Now it's occasionally, or I'll help other people, but I was never an artist that started doing weddings. That's what most people do. They
Hmm.
start with weddings and doing, makeup lessons and makeup. That's what a lot of artists do. I didn't start that way. I started with photographers and grew from that. But it was an interesting learning curve for me. And I knew when I started the team and all of that, I just watched what other people did that I respected,
Hmm.
whether they had a team or whatever they were doing. But I knew, because I know my personality, if I didn't create really strong boundaries, I was going to be in big trouble. I knew I'd be in such trouble. So it helped with that.
Absolutely. So going forward right now with your incredible career, where do you plan on?
Mm,
What's the direction? How do you see it continuing to?
that's such a good question. I feel like I should have a really good answer to that, and I don't. But, I do coach artists. So after I kind of finished with the team, then I started coaching a little bit more. And I want to lean into that more as I go. I still love doing makeup. I love what I do.
Hmm.
I love the connection with people. But to be honest, I haven't completely fleshed out where it's going to go because the industry changes so much. I feel like it changes all the time.
Hmm.
And I don't know where the industry is going to go. So, one of the things that I think has helped me over the years is learning how to just persevere, learning how to pivot when you need to. Because I definitely had years where all these other artists were coming into the business. And I think it was about 7 years ago, my business was so slow. I was like, uh oh, this is it. This is the end. I think I'm done.
Hmm.
Um, but I knew I still loved doing this. I had such a
Yeah, your
passion.
passion.
And I was like, okay, what am I going to do? So I just looked at where I was at and I realized that two things were happening with social media, with Instagram, with all these other artists that I was seeing, and they were doing so well through Instagram and getting amazing jobs. I was like, oh, well, I'm going to start posting every day like these people do. And I saw myself, I, I started like changing to fit what other people were doing
Hmm.
and being successful at on social media. And then I realized about a year in of doing that, I'm like, why am I even doing that?
Hmm.
Like it brought me to that place where, okay, now I'm slow because that's not me. Like the kind of work that I was showing, I'm like, that's not really me. I still have to be authentic. And I was just trying to navigate what was happening, all these changes.
Absolutely.
Um, and I just also, there were so many new artists that were charging less and clients were going with them. But then the pendulum swung back the other way. And then the next year was one of my busiest and had amazing, amazing jobs. And that's when I did a lot of traveling. That's when people
Wow.
were like, hey, we're going to, the Sea of Cortez. Do you want to come for 7 days or 8 days? I'm like, yes. And it just started back again.
And
And
that's when you shifted from kind of the one direction that felt a little bit not as authentic, but it's what was trending. But
Right.
you were to keep up and
Yeah.
then saying that's not for me. And
Yeah.
I'm being shown
Yeah.
that it's not for me. And then you
Yeah.
went back into your core, into your values,
Yeah.
into who you are, and then had this blossoming of
It yeah,
that's incredible.
it's like
That's
any time that I've tried to conform to what is popular or
mhm.
what other people are doing, it doesn't work. It
Mhm.
doesn't work for me. I just have to like this is what I love to do. This is the makeup I love to do. This is my style. I don't want to obliterate somebody's face, and I don't mean that to be negative, but when that was a style for a while. Really
Yes.
heavy makeup on Instagram. Everyone's doing really heavy. It doesn't work for me. It's not what I think. Everyone's beautiful when they walk in with
Mhm.
no makeup. So I don't want to cover that up. I just want to like I say I want to throw the streamers and the glitter on it. And that's, just like a little zhuzh and then,
Well,
you
and that's
know.
what when I sat down today, because last time we worked together when you did my makeup, I think it was almost 4 years ago. We were time
Mhm.
flies by, but you said,
Yeah.
"So what are you looking for, Stacey?" And I'm like, "Just for you to Diane me up, just to do what you normally do, which you
Yeah.
enhance my natural beauty." And you're like, "Okay, just checking." And
Yeah.
I just allow you to do exactly what is innate for you, and it is
Yeah.
always so beautiful and so clean and so fresh from 13 to 44 years
Right.
old, Diane. And I think
Um,
that's what's true, and there is a style of how you do it that is your style. It is like
and no shade.
your
I mean, there's no shade to anybody else if they
yeah.
like heavier makeup. And there are some people that I look at their work and I'm like, how are they
Oh,
even
yeah.
doing that? It's so good. And I can't, I mean, I could do it, but it's just not like I think we all have that genius zone,
Mhm.
that thing, our X factor. We
Absolutely.
all have that innate and you have to stick with it.
Yeah, and
And
not deviate from it or feel that and I think we're always or I can only speak from my own experience. I've noticed myself do the same thing and shift, feeling that I need to evolve into what is happening in order to but still be authentic to who I am. And I've been completely off course. And I think
I
it's
know it's
interesting how life will show that to you. And if you're
yeah,
open enough to feel it without
yeah,
letting it kind of take you down, but
yeah,
see that, okay, let me just kind of do a deeper check in to see
yeah,
really where this is at. And am I actually really happy what I was doing that felt more trending? And I
exactly.
never was. It felt like way more work.
Exactly. I know, and I know that at that time, I was feeling that. I
Yeah.
know that I was feeling like, "Oh, I need to do this because I just watched so and so get like 3,000 more followers." And that was when everybody, I had magazine clients that were some magazines that I was working with. They really wanted to hire people who had big followings at the time. And here I had been working with them for years and I'm like, what do you what so I know that that's what started it, where I felt like, "Oh my god, I have to get more followers. Well, so and so is doing this, so I'm gonna do that."
Hmm.
It wasn't innate to me. It wasn't me.
Yeah.
And people respond to who we are, right? They respond like somebody's gonna resonate with you when you're authentic. But if you're being fake, pe- people will
There's
feel it.
nothing. There's no connection.
Yeah.
With your coaching for
Mhm.
makeup, is that more in business? Is it with doing makeup? I'd love to hear a little bit more of what that is and how I feel like it's probably both for you
It's
because
a
you're
little
so good
it's a
with
little
business.
bit of both, but it's mostly business.
Okay.
Like I have different things that I do. Like I have an online course and it's for people who are doing makeup, but they're either in the salon or they're working at the makeup counter or they're doing weddings and they want to do shoots. They want to do fashion shoots. They want to do celebrity stuff. They want to do commercials. It's to show them how to go from where they are to where they want to be.
Amazing.
And so that's one course. That was like my original course, and I just updated it and I added so much stuff to it. And so it's just they go at their own pace and they can reach out to me. Then I have one that's just like a 1 day, 4 hours to get their marketing aligned
Wow.
because I realized from what I was doing that Nobody's going to hire me if my Instagram looks one way, my website looks another way, and they're not speaking to each other. They're like opposing. And so a lot of people do that though. They put stuff on their website, or they put stuff in their social media, or just even how they market themselves. It's not coming together, so people are confused.
Yeah.
And so I have an intensive of that that's just 4 hours, and we try to get that straight. Because I think that if you confuse people, they don't hire you.
Yeah, and I
And
think as business owners,
yeah.
from my perspective, before I understood the power of branding and marketing, authenticity, and conveying that, and also not what's trending,
Mhm.
um, it can be very hard because you're wearing so many hats as a small business
Yeah.
owner. So you're just trying to keep into it, and yet
Yeah.
having a very clear focus in what you're offering is
Yeah.
essential. It's something that I've learned, when I started my coaching practice, that I learned this from Goody Two's Toffee Company. So I was able to take
Mhm.
these tools because
Yeah.
I went a lot of wrong directions with my
Yeah.
previous business.
And we all make you have to make the mistakes.
We make the mistakes, so we
Mhm.
learn. But now that
Mhm.
I'm in this, I'm like, oh, it's nice to have the experience and the understanding and the lessons to apply it
Mhm.
now. And I think
Yeah.
a lot of even some of my clients that I'm working with that are new to being entrepreneurs, and it's incredible, but they're looking
Yeah.
for that guidance that I went to you for, that I've asked Paul for,
Yeah.
these people in our lives that have experience, because we do wear so many hats, and it's
Yeah.
so easy to. One of my business coaches was saying that I look at all the shiny balls, and I'm like,
Right.
pick that one,
Right,
pick that one.
right.
She's like, stick to one shiny ball, not
Mhm.
all of them, because I am
Yeah.
such a creative, and I get attracted to a lot of different
Yeah.
things, but I understand the intentionality of if we're focused on one and we keep that brand consistent, and it's, as
Mhm.
you said, everything needs to talk together, website to
Yeah.
social, and also how we work and how we offer. And if it's all true to who you are,
Mhm.
then it's easy, but not
Yeah.
getting, I think, distracted and off
Yeah.
course. So I love that you're offering
Well,
that.
and I think too that I know I keep bringing up social media, but that's where everybody goes, right? That's how
Yeah.
people connect. And I feel like we went through the whole there was just that phase of everything being so curated and perfect. And I think, sometimes you get caught up in that, but it's brought us to another place where people are looking for authenticity.
Hmm.
People, and I think especially the last few years, people are going to be choosy who they spend their money with or who they hire. I think they're looking for that connection and that authenticity, and not like, don't give me all your super perfect curated stuff.
Yeah.
People want to know like who you are. And you're always very authentic, and that's why people are drawn to you. Like
Thanks,
you
Diane.
you don't pretend to be somebody else, or, you know, super important.
It
And people
is.
resonate with it.
And I think at any age and stage in my 30s and 40s, I really started honing into that, and having very close friends like you saying, Stacey, just be you. You're in now.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
just be
yeah.
you. And my mom, one of my biggest cheerleaders out there,
Yeah.
um, always giving me that guidance, and realized I was my own worst enemy of being too critical. Perfectionism is still something that I'm working on. So I fully
Mhm.
own it and speak to it,
Yeah.
and to not allow that to hold me back, but to know that in my
Yeah.
heart, and what
Well,
I feel when I'm with people, that trusting that
yeah.
relationship, and that's important. I don't have to be anything different. And
Right. Well, you started in modeling so young, and
mhm,
think about, always being on set. That shapes you in certain ways where, you want to make sure everyone's happy. You want to make sure they're getting what they need. It shapes a certain like outer part of you, and you want to please people, right? And then,
mhm.
all of us have that thing. For you, it was modeling, and then you kind of figure out like, oh, well, that's just what I was presenting.
Yeah.
You don't have to be that all the time. It's not who, you know, that was your skill in your job, but it gets intermingled with like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
see it all the time.
And I had
I see it all
to
the time with,
shift or shed layers and layers I still, and I know I believe I always will. This is always a discovery process with self, but I'm still shedding old parts of myself from whether it's childhood or from modeling. And I do see a lot of that. And I kind of forget because I did it for so long, from 13 to 27, that it was such an external thing. And even though my mom said it's who you are within and that's how you will connect and work one-on-one with people. And I knew that and I felt it.
But that's also why people like the Stacey underneath the Stacey on set is also why people wanted to work with you too. But sometimes, you know, at that young age, you're thinking it's just how I look.
Absolutely.
But
and that's I mean, I'm like, you just have to let that go.
But definitely, I mean, I can say that just from a crew perspective, people appreciate a kind, lovely person who is responsible and authentic and sweet, and that's you. And it, you know, that part of you was just as important and big showing up on set as the person who got in front of the camera. Does that make sense? Like I'm saying it like you're two people, but it's like the inner Stacey and the outer Stacey.
Well, I'm
both.
I'm like teary-eyed because it's true.
But sometimes you don't like when it's you, when you're the person in front of the camera, you think everybody's just, I mean, I've seen it so many times. I've seen it with you and other people that you just think like, oh, they just want me here because I look like, no, it's the whole thing. Because there's some people, the looks only go so far. If you're not, you know, there's sometimes you're on set with people and like, how did this person get this far? They're really difficult. You know, that was you that made everything work. That's why you were so good at it, because of you. You know, does that make sense? Am I making sense? Okay.
You know, you're making sense. I'm trying not to be emotional.
I know.
Thank you, because
it's such
it's such an external, it was such an external industry. And yet the relationships that I have, you included, Paul, Micheline, we can talk about so many people. Terry, that you brought the both of us together. She's in the episode before this one that comes out. Terry Camberlango, Diane had worked with both of us and just knew.
I was like, you guys need to meet
we need
each
to
other.
connect.
And you need to connect. You're both in San Francisco. You need to meet up. You're going to be great friends.
And she's one of my best friends because you connected us. And this is, I mean, going back to you, because I appreciate it. You shared with me, but this is what I was speaking to, that what you're saying about me on set is how I feel working with you and how I felt.
Gosh. Okay, I'm like half teary-eyed, but also the fan. But I need the fan.
But that's I think the longevity, and I think within any industry, because I hope that this can speak to any small business owner, whether we're a creative, a photographer doing hair and makeup, or any type of business. These are important things that you can learn to stay true to who you are. And to know it's okay if we take wrong turns, that we can find our way back and then build those authentic and find the people that we connect with to build those authentic relationships, because this is proof that, I mean, we've seen each other through so many different phases in our lives, with our careers as entrepreneurs, as creatives, and to where we're at now. And I arrived here because of you and having your influence in my life.
No.
Yes.
You did it.
And Paul and Terry and all of us. But that's, I think those are the, it's the heart threads. The relationships are so important, and to nourish them and appreciate them. And when we find our people, to stay.
It's so connected. True. And I sometimes wonder if that's kind of, you know, like if part of that has been removed in a way because people connect so much online and digitally, you know, and I think nothing replaces the face-to-face and creating those relationships with people. And I sometimes wonder, like, is that still, like, are people removing that because so much of what we're doing is online? I don't know. I think I see it sometimes. I feel like there's sometimes new crew members that I'll meet and they're just really wanting to, we all want to get BTS, right? But sometimes they almost hide behind it. Like instead of talking to people, they're on their phone and they're, you know, but there's nothing like the connection,
Yeah.
one-on-one. It's kind of my happy place.
It's my happy place too.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I think this was a beautiful, we could go on and on.
I'll sit here and talk to you for the next 8 hours, but we do want to get Paul some food.
Yeah. So we'll wrap this up,
Yeah.
but thank you. I
you.
will include
you.
your website, and your coaching business is linked up to dianeaiello.com too. Where do I
You
find
can
that?
find it from there. Yeah.
Okay.
You can
So I'll
find-
link both up
It's My
because,
Beauty Muse, but there's a link to it from my website. So.
okay. So I'll link both websites
Okay.
so you can have
Cool.
access to Diane. And I guess I also want to clarify, My Beauty Muse. Is this, could it be for anyone in business? Or is it really specifically?
I mostly focus on makeup artists, wardrobe stylists, people who do hair and that want
Fashion.
to, in the industry. But
Okay.
I have worked with people who are not in this industry as well. So
yeah, I'm thinking of a client that
I've
I
had
know
a
she would
couple
be very
people-
beneficial to work with you.
Oh, okay.
Who's starting her own business, but it is in clothing actually.
I
So,
mean, I've had a few people reach out to me and I just do, I do those like intensive one-on-ones, or
Okay.
we'll do 2-hour classes at a time until they get what they need.
yeah, because you guided me on my toffee business and had nothing to do with fashion.
But there's so many, but the principles are all kind of there.
Well, that's
right?
why I was asking. And I'm sure that obviously you sit down and you decide if it's the right fit or not, because what you're doing and what you're offering is so needed. And for people to have the opportunity to work with you and your presence and the way you communicate, it resonates with the heart. And I think it really lands, and it helps quiet the mind down, and it gets it in a much more focused, intentional way.
Yeah. I mean, I think everybody needs somebody to give them a hand, right? Everybody needs somebody to go, okay, we can cut out some of your struggle. We can shorten the time from where you are now to where you want to be. We can shorten that curve so it doesn't have to take years like it took me.
Yeah.
It could take you months.
You're
It doesn't
exactly
have
right.
to be years. I'm sure you see that all the time with
Absolutely.
people. You're like, oh, okay, I see what we need.
Yeah. Because mine was years. It was a long journey. Not that we have to have shortcuts, but goodness, if there is a way from people's expertise and wisdom and experience from taking the right and the left and the wrong turns or the detours, but also having a little bit more of a clear path, or helping you stay more attuned to your authenticity and your purpose and passion.
Yeah.
I think that's the nugget. And it's nice to have that support and that help to kind of keep you on that straight and narrow, twisty turn.
We all need it.
Yeah.
We all need it. So
thank you, Diane.
my gosh, thank you.